This is the first story. Imagine a lone traveler, miles from any town, the only sound the crunch of gravel beneath their tires. The moon, a sliver in the inky sky, offers little comfort. Suddenly, a figure appears on the side of the road, a silhouette against the darkness. As they draw closer, the traveler realizes it's a child, standing perfectly still, their eyes wide and blinking. A chill, unrelated to the night air, creeps in. What happens next is a question that lingers, a testament to the unsettling power of the unknown. Or consider an old, forgotten house, its windows like vacant eyes staring out at the world. Locals say it's been empty for decades, yet sometimes, late at night, a faint light flickers in an upper window. Whispers tell of a presence, something that doesn't want to be disturbed. One curious soul, drawn by the allure of the forbidden, decides to investigate. The creak of the floorboards, the sudden drop in temperature, the feeling of being watched, these are the ingredients that transform a simple exploration into a heart-pounding encounter. Then there's the tale of a seemingly ordinary object, an antique music box found at a dusty flea market. It plays a hauntingly beautiful melody, but with each rendition, a subtle change occurs. A shadow lengthens, a whisper is heard, a sense of unease grows. It's a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying things are not what we see, but what we feel, the insidious creep of something ancient and powerful. These stories, in their essence, tap into our primal instincts. They remind us that even in the most familiar settings, there can be an undercurrent of the extraordinary, the inexplicable. They encourage us to be mindful of our surroundings, to appreciate the light and the comfort of the known, while acknowledging the vastness of what we don't understand. This is second story. Imagine this, a lone traveler, miles from any town, their car sputtering to a halt on a deserted country road. The moon, a sliver of bone in the inky sky, offers little comfort. As they step out to assess the damage, a faint, rhythmic tapping begins. It's not the wind, and it's not an animal. It's coming from the trunk of their car. Slowly, deliberately, the tapping grows louder, more insistent. A cold dread washes over them as they realize they are not alone, and whatever is in the trunk wants out. Or consider the old, abandoned house on the edge of town, the one everyone avoids. Locals say it's haunted by the echoes of a past tragedy. One night, a group of curious teenagers, fueled by bravado and a dare, decide to explore. Inside, the air is thick with dust and an unsettling silence. As they venture deeper, they hear it, a child's laughter, faint at first, then growing closer. But there are no children here. The laughter seems to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, a chilling melody that promises no joy, only an ancient sorrow. And what about the quiet suburban street, where the streetlights cast long, distorted shadows? A young woman, returning home late, notices a figure standing perfectly still at the end of her driveway. It's too far to make out details, but its posture is unnerving, unnaturally rigid. As she approaches, the figure doesn't move. It simply watches. A prickle of unease turns into outright fear as she realizes the figure is wearing her own clothes. And its face is a blank, featureless void. These are the stories that linger, the ones that make you double-check the locks and peek under the bed. They tap into our deepest fears, the primal instinct that tells us to be wary of the unknown, of what lurks just beyond our sight. Remember, while these tales are meant to thrill, they also serve as a reminder to be aware of your surroundings and to trust your instincts. This third story, imagine this, a lone cabin, miles from anywhere, the wind howling like a mournful spirit. You're settled in, a crackling fire your only companion, when a faint scratching begins at the door. It's not the wind. It's deliberate, slow, persistent. You tell yourself it's just an animal, but a primal instinct screams otherwise. The scratching stops. Silence. Then, a single, soft tap on the window, right beside your head. Your breath catches. You're not alone. Or consider the unsettling feeling of being watched, even when you know you're the only one home. That prickling sensation on the back of your neck, the way shadows seem to deepen and shift in your peripheral vision. You dismiss it as your imagination playing tricks. But then you hear it, the floorboard creaking upstairs, a door gently closing, a whisper that sounds impossibly close. It's the quiet moments, the ones where your mind is most at ease, that often become the most terrifying. Then there are the stories that tap into our deepest fears of the unknown, of things that defy logic and explanation. A child's toy that moves on its own, a familiar object that suddenly appears in a place it shouldn't be, a recurring dream that starts to bleed into reality. These aren't jump scares, they're the slow, creeping dread that something is fundamentally wrong, that the world you thought you understood is far more mysterious and unsettling than you ever imagined. These tales, while designed to send shivers down your spine, also remind us of the power of our own minds and the stories we tell ourselves. They play on our innate sense of caution and our fascination with the unexplained. This is fourth story. Imagine a lone cabin deep in the woods, miles from any sign of civilization. The wind howls like a mournful spirit, rattling the windows. Inside, a single lamp casts dancing shadows, making the ordinary objects in the room seem to writhe. You're alone, or so you think. A faint scratching sound begins, not from outside, but from within the walls. It grows louder, more insistent, a rhythmic scraping that seems to be moving, inching closer. You hold your breath, straining to hear, your heart pounding a frantic rhythm against your ribs. The scratching stops. Silence. Then a soft, almost imperceptible whisper brushes against your ear. A sound that shouldn't be there. A sound that chills you to the very bone. Now picture an old, forgotten playground, bathed in the eerie glow of a sliver moon. The swings creak back and forth, as if pushed by unseen hands. A child's laughter, faint and distant, echoes through the stillness. You know there's no one else around, yet the laughter persists, growing closer, more playful, but undeniably chilling. It seems to be coming from the carousel, its painted horses frozen in a silent, eternal gallop. As you cautiously approach, the laughter stops abruptly. The carousel begins to turn, slowly at first, then faster, its music box playing a distorted, melancholic tune. You can't tear your eyes away, mesmerized by the spectral dance, a chilling reminder that some places hold echoes of the past that refuse to be silenced. Finally, consider a quiet suburban street, where every house is dark and silent. You're walking home, the only sound the crunch of your own footsteps on the pavement. Suddenly, you notice it, a single light flickers on in an upstairs window of a house you know to be empty. A shadow moves behind the glass, a fleeting glimpse of something tall and gaunt. You quicken your pace, a prickle of unease crawling up your neck. Then, from the darkened doorway of that very house, a child's voice, clear and unnervingly calm, calls out your name. You freeze, your blood running cold. You know you shouldn't, but you can't help but look back. The door creaks open, revealing nothing but an impenetrable darkness. This is fifth story. Imagine this, a lone cabin, miles from anywhere, nestled deep within an ancient forest. The wind howls like a mournful spirit, rattling the windows and creaking the old timbers. Inside, a single candle flickers, casting dancing shadows that seem to twist and contort into unsettling shapes. You're alone, or so you think. A faint scratching sound begins, not from outside, but from within the walls. It's slow at first, then insistent, growing louder, closer. You hold your breath, straining to hear over the pounding of your own heart. Is it just the house settling, or something far more sinister trying to get your attention? Or consider this chilling scenario, a late-night drive on a deserted highway, the kind where the only light comes from your headlights cutting through the inky blackness. Suddenly, a figure appears at the edge of the road, standing perfectly still. As you get closer, you realize it's a child dressed in old-fashioned clothes, their face obscured by shadow. You slow down, a knot of unease tightening in your stomach. You can't just leave them there. But as you pull over, the child slowly turns their head, and in the brief flash of your headlights, you see their eyes. They're not human. They're ancient, empty, and filled with a chilling and natural hunger. Then there's the story of the forgotten attic. You've just moved into an old house, and curiosity gets the better of you. The attic door is heavy, stiff with disuse. With a groan, it swings open, revealing a space choked with dust and cobwebs. Among the forgotten relics of past lives, you find an old music box. It's intricately carved, and as you wind it up, a haunting, melancholic melody fills the air. But as the tune plays, you start to feel a presence, a coldness that seeps into your bones. The shadows in the corners seem to deepen, and you get the distinct impression that you are not alone, that something has been waiting in the silence for a very long time. These are the stories that linger, the ones that remind us that even in the most familiar places, the veil between our world and something else can be incredibly thin. They tap into our primal fears, the ones that whisper in the quiet moments, urging us to be vigilant, to be aware of the unseen.